We first started coming to Destiny, I guess over 30 years ago. It was called Sunset Christian Center. We used to come and they would bring us in for like luau's. Profiling. And we used to be at there was not that many people, so we could go to somebody's backyard and do an outreach and a luau. And I woke up this morning thinking about how God has been so faithful and so good to our family through you. I mean, we were literally fresh off the boat. We just got here. If you don't know who we are, we came from the Samoan Islands. And I remember the first time coming to Sunset Christian Center. It was families like the Farringtons and the Oates and the Masseys and the Holt family who took us in, literally clothed us, fed us, taught us how to be around Americans. And now over 30 years later, we have 19 kids between the 5 of us. As James said, his son got married last Friday. In 27 days, my oldest son, Josh, is getting married. In fact, he and I flew out 3 days ago to be in the Bay and just to hang out as father and son before he gets married. And we had a lot of conversation because I'm starting to be anxious and uncertain. Did I teach my son enough? Did I tell him to do his own laundry? Pick up after yourself and put the seat down after you're done. After about 3 nights of deep conversations, I was like, what's next? What's next? I said, Josh, let me talk to you about your honeymoon night. If you're familiar with the Enneagram, Josh is a 9. He's a peacemaker. He doesn't like conflict. But as soon as I brought the honeymoon night up, he said, Dad, too far. I got this. He did tell me though, he said, Dad, I'm really excited. But I'm also a little anxious about the uncertainty of marriage. I said, what do you mean? He said, well, Alexis and I have been dating for almost 3 years and we have not really had a big fight yet. I said, key word, brother, yet. Because you are about to have some fights. I said, marriage and life is like Forrest Gump said, like a box of chocolates. You don't know which one you're gonna get. We are all surrounded with so much uncertainty right now. Over the last 16 months, it's been crazy. Not many of us know the long-term effects of this pandemic. The loss of small businesses, the loss of loved ones, the political divisiveness, the racial tension that we wake up to and we're just exposed to like every second of every minute of the day. We're living in unprecedented times. You know, our brains long for certainty. According to psychologist David Rock, he says, and I quote, a sense of uncertainty about the future generates a strong threat or alert response in your limbic system. Our brains crave certainty because uncertainty actually causes pain. But here's the truth about life and marriage for anyone who wants to get married. The only certain thing about life is uncertainty. What kind of uncertainty are you sitting in today? Perhaps it's your marriage. Perhaps it's your children who are not turning out the way you had hoped. Maybe your kids are battling something and you can't figure out how to help them. Is it financial stress? Perhaps an addiction that you've been battling for years and you wonder, will I ever get through this? Maybe you're single. You wonder, will I ever find true love? Perhaps you've gone through an ugly divorce and you wonder, will this shame and regret from the past ever leave me? Your family's in a season that you've never been through before and you're trying to figure out how to navigate the situation. Uncertainty everywhere. It's overwhelming. Some of us thought that perhaps after the election, things would get better. I'll just leave that right there. Or maybe the new year, 2021, would bring us good cheer. And we're halfway through the year and we're still confused and so much uncertainty surrounds us. You're afraid, but you don't want to admit it. Perhaps you're angry, but you don't want to say it because you think it makes you look unspiritual and weak. You have no idea what to do or how to move forward because what if you make the wrong choice, the wrong decision? The good news is this, Destiny family. Jesus already told us these things would happen. John 16:33, Jesus said, I have told you these things so that in me you will have peace. In this world, you will have trouble. You're going to face uncertainty. But take heart, Jesus said, I have overcome the world. So just for a few minutes, and I promise just a few, I want to talk with you this morning about living with uncertainty. Jesus said, I've told you these things so that in me, first of all, if you're going to live the life that God wants you to in these times, you have got to get into Jesus. Get into Jesus. We've had a lot of time on our hands, and it's amazing that people have found new hobbies, new things to get into, new Netflix series. What are you watching on Hulu? Have you seen this episode? One thing that our family, we got into was pickleball. Have you ever heard of pickleball? Supposedly it's the fastest growing sport because of the pandemic. Somebody told me, man, if they would change the name, I would play it. What are you into? We're living in a world that is searching for answers, trying to find respite and a reprieve from the chaos of life. It's time that God's people get back into Jesus. Get into him. John 15:7. It says, if you abide in me and my words abide in you, ask what you wish, ask what you will, and it will be done for you. You say, really? Anything I wish? Yes, because when you start abiding in Jesus, what you wish for changes. John Mayer sings a song. Me and my friends were waiting on the world to change. I'm just waiting on the world to change. God says in 2 Chronicles 7:14, if my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven. I will answer their prayer and forgive their sins, and I will heal their land. If you are waiting on the world to change, the change starts with you. The change starts with God's people. It's not coming from our parents or your neighbor or your kids or your spouse or the government. No, God says, if my people who are called by my name, when we change, this world will change. What we're experiencing today is not new. We may feel persecuted, but I'm telling you, we haven't been what people all over the world have been going through for years. As God's people, do what we're supposed to do. And I promise the peace of God that transcends all understanding will guard your hearts and your mind in Christ Jesus. Get into Jesus. Get into his word. Spend time with him. Start nurturing relationships with people, other people that love Jesus, so that you all can reach those that don't know him. Get into Jesus. Secondly, he said, in this world, you will have trouble. But in me, you'll what? You can have peace. Have peace. Everybody say peace. God's will is for us to live in peace. Even today. Yes, today. Some of y'all just need to turn off the news. Have peace. A few months ago, I started having choking incidents. Like I would try to swallow and I couldn't really swallow, and then I just kind of have to take a pause and then I'd be okay. Well, one Thursday night, my brothers and I were doing this online concert, and I was excited. We had Michael W. Smith, and it just went so well. And right after it was done, I was excited. You know, do you ever get excited, and because you're excited, you just want to eat? Some people are like, I don't have to be excited. I just love to eat. And so I went into the kitchen, and I got me some chicken and rice, and I was gonna say I started eating, I started scarfing. And next thing you know it, I'm like going in and out of consciousness, and my brother looks at me and says, are you okay? I said, not really. And I can't get the food down. I tried to drink water. I'm not trying to gross you out, and the water just came back. I felt like I was gonna drown. So they rushed me to the emergency room. And after waiting, you know, I'm freaking out, like, really, am I going out like this? And I get back, and the doctor says, he reads my chart, and he walks in, and he's all calm. And I'm like, he's like, Mr. Katina, how old are you? I'm like, that's a weird question to ask somebody who feels like they're gonna die. I said, I'm 51. He says, okay, you can no longer eat like you did at 15. He said, Mr. Katina, you need to chew your food, son. So they scheduled me an endoscopy in the next 2 days, and my wife dropped me off early in the morning, and she couldn't come because of COVID, and I was back there just waiting. I was mad because I'm like, I got stuff to do. I got people to meet and problems to solve, and I'm back here. And the doctor, for the fourth time, came in about an hour, and she says, Mr. Katina, aren't you the one that sings Christian music? I said, yeah, you know, one of our songs. She said, no, you just need to have some peace. She said, you need to relax. There is nothing that you can do while you're waiting in here except wait for me. I'm gonna come and I'm gonna take care of you. Have some peace. They gave me a little shot, and the next thing I know is that smart doctor was waking me up, saying, Mr. Katina, you're good. You can go now. Just when before I got out the door, she said, chew your food. Some of you are in a waiting room right now. You're waiting on a situation to change. You're wondering, what can I do? What should I do? How can I fix this? And God, the doctor of all doctors, is say, son, daughter, have peace. I got this. I got this. I've told you these things so that in me you may have peace. In this world, you will have trouble. Finally, take heart. I have overcome the world. What does it mean to take heart? Psalm 27, 13 and 14. The psalmist says this, I am confident of this, that I will see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Wait for the Lord, be strong, take heart, and wait for the Lord. There's sometimes in the last weeks, last several months, I've woken up and saying, God, I'm ready. This is too much stress. All this pressure, all this hate, all this controversy, all this agenda, people trying to convince me of what's right and what's wrong. God, just take me. I want to see your goodness. The psalmist says, no, I want to see the goodness of God in the land of the living right here. Be strong, take heart, and wait for the Lord. Take heart. Take heart is basically a call to wait on God. Be patient. Those kids that you've been sowing into, be patient. That business, that devotional life that you started and still are struggling with some things, and you're like, man, I thought if I could read and if I can pray, if I go to church, all this would be gone. Be patient. Take heart. It's the goodness of God that changes you. Patience, waiting is definitely not my thing. It's probably why I'm not a farmer. I want to plant this morning and eat tonight. I want to work for you right now and get paid tomorrow. I don't want to wait. From February to March, we usually have to do 100 dates a year just to take care of everybody. 70 shows got canceled. I was freaking out. And I would be in my living room just saying, God, you got to change this thing. And one day my wife came and she says, what are you doing? I said, I'm waiting on God. She said, no, you're worrying. She said, you know what? You got so much time now. Why don't you now go work in the yard? My wife got this spirit of boldness on her over the pandemic. I said, work in the yard. I mow our grass. I do work. She said, no. It's time for you to plant some trees, pull some weeds. We've needed some bushes in the backyard for 15 years. And you keep saying you're going to call somebody. I'm calling you right now. Go. So I said, I'm going to show her. So I went and Googled trees. Exactly. And I saw this beautiful Japanese maple. I said, that's the tree I'm going to have in my backyard, right out of our living room window, so my wife can look every day and see, oh yeah, my husband is the man. Went to Home Depot, bought this Japanese maple, and planted it right dead center in the backyard so she could see. I looked at that Japanese maple on Wednesday before we flew out here. It doesn't look any different than it did last year when I first planted it. I was so frustrated, Pastor Allen. I didn't want to tell her because that she was right. I planted this dead tree. Home Depot ripped me off. And so I Googled it again, and in fine print, it said, beautiful Japanese maple tree will reach full maturity in 30 years. In this world, we will have uncertainty. We will have seasons of dryness, seasons of pain, seasons of sorrow. I was watching y'all come in, or at the 9 o'clock service, there was a long line of people waiting to get into church at Destiny Christian Center. Long line of people in this heat. People could not wait to get in here. You know what I thought about? I thought about those people who are no longer here, who planted this place, who prayed, who gave, who stayed through uncertainty. They got into Jesus. In times of chaos, they decided, no, I'm going to stay peaceful. And when hell came and high water and protests came and ridicule and all of that mess that happens every day, they said, no, I'm going to take heart. I'm going to wait on God. And look at y'all now. I don't know what you're facing. I tell you, your marriage can make it. If you forgive, if you wait, your kid's gonna be okay. My son Josh was here at the first service. He's probably getting ready to get on a plane to fly home. And there were times when I wondered, is this dude gonna serve God? In spite of my mistakes, in spite of my failures as a dad, I'm thankful that I decided, no man, I'm gonna have peace. I'm gonna take heart. I'm gonna get into Jesus, because one of these days, I'm gonna see my son serve God. That day is today. So I wanna encourage you, father, mother, sister, brother, destiny cousins, in this world, no matter what comes, remember, we serve a good God, a faithful God, and he has overcome the world. And because he has, we can too.